Hey, good morning. This video is going to be for those of you that may not have been able to connect earlier with me on one of the Google Meets. So, a variety of things may have kept you off. You may not have gotten the code. Some of y'all had some things outside of class that kept you from getting on at home. So for whatever reason, if you missed the Google Meet earlier, this video is to take the place of that meeting and give you the opportunity to still hear what we talked about earlier in our Google Meet. So let me get started by talking first about if we ever have a Google Meet type session or learning day similar today where we're doing something online. There are some conducts that I expect of you online when I'm having a Google Meet session. Number one, just keep in mind that as I'm talking, please have your microphones muted so that there's not any background noise. Number two, don't be creating distractions online to me or to others who may be trying to pay attention to what's being talked about. Make sure your appearance appears presentable. So have clothes on. Guys, have a shirt on while the Google Meet is taking place. If you have a question, wait for the appropriate time that will be given for questions. Unmute your microphone and then ask your question. After your question's over with, go back and mute your microphone once again. And then last thing, if you end up becoming a problem to me online during a Google Meet, I will kick you out of the class Google Meet session and I will consider you absent for class because of that. So please follow these guidelines and everything will be okay for you. All right. Okay. Today we talked about earlier about wrapping up Unit 1. I assigned a short answer yesterday to you. It was based off of comparison of Simple Vita and Bartolome. And I mentioned to the groups earlier that right now, probably with short answers, you may feel frustrated. You may feel like you're not really good at them right now. And that's okay because you're going to get better at them. And also, if you do not allow me to help you get better with them, and you don't allow me to help you out, we can't have success for you long term. So if you need help with anything in class, please, 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 let me help you out. Okay, that's what I'm here for, is to help you be successful. And that's my goal and passion for being here, is to help you all out. Last thing about the Unit 1 short answer, before we look at some examples of how they may be written, is I need you to have your Unit 1 short answer assessment turned in on Canvas by Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Okay? That is the deadline. Okay, the Unit 1 short answer that I signed yesterday, you're responding to 3 parts. You're responding to Part A, Part B, and Part C. You want to keep working on each part of a short answer in class for practice purposes and for grade purposes, to where each part that you answer is somewhere around 2 to 4 sentences per part. Okay. When you're answering a short answer, you want to try to give a specific example and then connect that example or explain how that example fits the statement for the part of that short answer you're addressing. Okay. So for example, on part A, you're trying to explain what the difference is between the sources is. On part B, you're looking to find an example that someone may argue would back up or support source A. On part C, you're looking for an example that someone may argue that could back up the interpretation in source B that is given. Okay. Now, to help y'all out, let's walk through how this might look like and read. Okay, so for part A, you could simply, question comes up, hey, how do I start this off? So for part A, you can start off and say, hey, the topic of the excerpts centers around the topic of blank. So you could say, hey, the main discussion here centers around this particular topic. And then you could go on, for example, in sentence 2 and say in excerpt 1, Sepulveda viewed Native Americans as blank. And then you could go on and do some discussion about what was his viewpoint of Native Americans. In sentence 3, you could transition by saying, in contrast to Sepulveda, Bartolome in excerpt 2 viewed Native Americans as blank. Okay, and so again, what you want to do is go on and state what was his viewpoint and show how his viewpoint is different from Sepulveda's. And one way you can do that is just by simply saying, in contrast, Bartolome believes or said this regarding Native Americans that's seen in his excerpt. Okay? So that's kind of an example of how you can maybe structure or make that flow. Now, here's an example for you to see. And this example is, again, based off responding to what has to be done in part A. So in part A, you're asked to simply state compare the two, what's the differences between them, okay? And this is an example that you can look at and see where it starts off and it talks about argument 1, Sepulveda talks about such and such, and then in contrast, and it goes on and explains some of the details about how Bartolome was different than Sepulveda was. Okay, going on to part B, how would you start off and structure part B? So your first sentence, for example, you could start off by just simply saying, one piece of evidence that could be used to support Sepulveda is such and such. So again, you're going to try to give a specific example. And then in your next couple of sentences, you want to go on and say, here's how that piece of evidence or example supports what he's trying to say in his source or excerpt. Okay. Now, an example of this is given right here. So we see where an example of encomiendas and their use, their purpose, how some Europeans viewed the purpose of encomiendas could be used to support Sepulveda's view. Okay, he had this view that Native Americans were not equal to Spaniards, not really equal to human beings. He refers to them as barbaric savages, animalistic in particular ways. So therefore, they don't have any property rights. They don't have any Christianity. They don't speak Spanish. So therefore, it's kind of the right and duty under the Spanish crown that Spaniards should support this idea of their inferiority. And one way that their inferiority was taken advantage of in the Spanish Empire was through the introduction of the encomiendas. Okay, part C. On part C, kind of the same format. You could start off and just simply start part C off by saying, hey, one piece of evidence that could be used to support Bartolome is this particular example. And then what are you going to do from there? You're going to take your next couple of sentences and explain how does this evidence support him and his viewpoint that he had at that time. Okay? So again, I provided you an example of how part C may look like or flow using the example of governorship or leadership. So we know from studies of tribal societies in the New World that many of them had a form of governorship or leadership that they followed in a lot of ways. They were similar to what was seen in Europe. And so some Europeans keyed in on this idea, particularly Bartolome as an example, that because they were under a governorship or leadership prior to the Spaniards, they are indeed human beings. They are indeed intelligent people. They are indeed people who can be rolled under leadership and have the potential to be considered equal status under that leadership. And so, again, that's one of the things that under the walls of Spain, Bartolome sees the Native Americans as being having this potential to be great citizens under the crown and therefore should be treated as equal subjects to the crown in the Spanish Empire. So that's kind of an example of how that might look or flow. And again, it depends on the type of example or piece of evidence that you want to use to support that. Okay, wrapping up what we talked about this morning, we're going to be moving into Unit 2 next week. Your homework at this time for Unit 2 is I want you to read pages 24 through 38 of your AMSCO APUSH textbook for Monday's discussion in class. If you go to Canvas under Unit 2, there is a module that is titled Topics 1 and 2, European Colonization in the Regions of British Colonies. If you'll click on that module, you'll see that there's a page that you can click on, and it has a file on it that'll pull up a list of discussion questions and also some key terms that I want you to read and look at. And I would like for you, again, I don't take it up, but it's for your purposes, for notes, is to define and answer the key terms and questions that are on that document that are found in chronological order on pages 24 through 38 of your APUSH textbook. So apart from turning in your short answer by 10 p.m. Sunday evening, I would like for you to look over these pages for discussion on Monday morning when you get to class. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, contact me about anything I've said here on this video. If you want to send me how your short answer looks and give you some critique on it before you submit it, please email me. Again, you do have the opportunity, if you've already submitted your short answer and you look at the examples I just gave to you, if you feel like you want to take your previous attempt and make it better and resubmit it, you do have up to 2 opportunities to submit your short answer. So if you've already turned it in, you can go back and submit it again and improve upon it, and that improvement one be the one that counts toward your grade. So anyway, that's my spiel for this morning. Please also under Canvas at the bottom of Unit 1, you'll see a module that says Virtual Day, and I've provided these slides for you on a page, and there's also a page that has a Google form survey that the school wants you to fill out based off of your technology experience today using Google Meets and using online videos and teaching today that's taking place. So if you would take a few minutes and fill that out for the school, they would greatly appreciate it. So I will see you all on Monday for class.